Ah, look who's standing here, untouched, unbothered, unbroken. While their entire empire crumbled into dust and ashes, you didn't lift a single finger, did you? You didn't sabotage, didn't manipulate, didn't scheme, didn't plot revenge in the shadows like they swore you did. You simply existed, moved forward, stayed silent, and somehow, mysteriously, everything they built collapsed. Funny how that works, isn't it? Funny how the universe has a sense of irony so sharp it cuts deeper than any blade you could have ever wielded. They're sitting there right now, drowning in the wreckage of their own creation, pointing fingers at you, screaming your name like a curse, convinced you're the architect of their destruction. Before we go further, quick one, for the ones still scrolling instead of moving everything in the store, is 40% off right now. Books, planners, every tool built for the version of you this script is talking about. Link is in the description. Coupon code is in the description too. And once it's gone, it's gone. So handle that before you forget, like you always do. But here's the beautiful, twisted, poetic truth they'll never accept. You have no blood on your hands, no schemes in your history, no evidence linking you to a single crack in their foundation. Yet somehow, they're the ones bleeding out. Let's rewind for a second, because this story, this masterpiece of cosmic justice, didn't start yesterday. It started the moment they made you their target, their scapegoat, their villain without a crime. They looked at you, someone who refused to play their games, someone who walked with integrity even when it hurt, someone who wouldn't bend, break, or bow to their manipulations. And they decided you were the problem, not because you did anything wrong, but because you did everything right, and that was unbearable to them. So they launched their campaign, subtle at first, whispers in corners, seeds of doubt planted in conversations you weren't invited to, narratives spun with just enough venom to sound convincing. They needed you guilty, desperately needed you guilty, because if you were guilty, then their chaos made sense. Their attacks were justified. Their cruelty was self-defense. But you weren't guilty, were you? No, you were clean, maddeningly, infuriatingly clean. And that drove them absolutely insane. So what did they do? They kept digging, kept pushing, kept waiting for you to slip, to crack, to give them just one moment of weakness they could weaponize. They watched your every move like hawks circling prey, analyzing your words, dissecting your choices, searching desperately for the smoking gun that would prove you were the monster they painted you as. Days turned into weeks, weeks into months, months into years, and still nothing. No lies, no betrayals, no hidden agendas, no skeletons rattling in your closet. You were frustratingly transparent, annoyingly consistent, impossibly resilient, and every day you didn't break was another day their accusations looked weaker, their credibility crumbled, their desperation showed. But here's the thing about desperate people. They don't stop when they're wrong. They double down. So they escalated, turned up the pressure, made your name synonymous with suspicion even without proof, convinced others to join their crusade against an enemy who never actually attacked them. And you just kept walking forward. Now here's where the plot thickens, where reality starts bending in ways they never saw coming. While they were busy obsessing over you, consumed by their need to destroy you, distracted by their hatred and envy and fear of what you represented, their own lives started falling apart. Not because you cursed them, not because you schemed against them, not because you orchestrated some elaborate revenge plan from the shadows. No, it happened because people who spend their energy tearing others down never have enough left to build themselves up. Their relationships started cracking, small fractures at first, barely noticeable, little arguments, tiny resentments, moments of disconnect that seemed insignificant. Their careers hit roadblocks, opportunities slipped through their fingers, projects failed, partnerships dissolved, money got tighter, stress got heavier, sleep got harder. Their mental health deteriorated, anxiety crept in, paranoia took root, trust evaporated, peace became a distant memory they couldn't quite grasp anymore. And through it all, through every collapsing pillar in their lives, they kept looking at you, kept blaming you, kept insisting somehow you were behind it all. But you weren't, were you? You were over here, healing, growing, building, evolving, focusing on your own path while they self-destructed in slow motion. You weren't casting spells, you weren't pulling strings, you weren't whispering curses into the night. You were just living your truth, protecting your peace, refusing to engage in their circus. And apparently, that was the most destructive thing you could have possibly done to them. Because when you stopped feeding their drama, stopped reacting to their provocations, stopped giving them the fight they needed to feel alive, you removed yourself as the center of their universe. And suddenly, they had to face themselves, face the emptiness, face the rot they'd been projecting onto you all along. Suddenly the mirror turned, and what they saw wasn't you, it was them, raw and unfiltered and ugly and real. And that revelation, that unavoidable confrontation with their own reflection, that's what destroyed them. Not you, them, always them. Let's talk about the accusations, because, the accusations were something special, weren't they? Creative, detailed, passionate accusations built on absolutely nothing but their imagination and desperation. They said you sabotaged their success, even though you were nowhere near their projects, their jobs, their opportunities. They said you poisoned their relationships, even though you hadn't spoken to their partners, their friends, their family members in months, maybe years. They said you spread rumors, even though your mouth stayed closed, your focus stayed forward, your energy stayed clean. They said you manipulated situations behind the scenes, even though you were openly, visibly, provably doing your own thing in your own lane. Every accusation was smoke without fire, noise without substance, a story without evidence. But they told those stories anyway, repeated them until they almost sounded true, convinced themselves so thoroughly that they started believing their own lies. And the wildest part? Even when confronted with the complete absence of proof, they didn't back down. They just said you were too smart, too calculated, too clever to leave evidence. You became the perfect criminal in their minds, guilty precisely because there was no proof. How do you defend yourself against that kind of delusion? You don't. You don't defend yourself against people who are committed to misunderstanding you, who need you to be guilty more than they need oxygen, who have built their entire identity around opposing you. You just let them talk, let them accuse, let them exhaust themselves screaming into the void while you keep building in silence. And that's exactly what you did, isn't it? You stopped explaining, stopped defending, stopped trying to prove your innocence to people who had already decided on your guilt. You stopped showing up to trials you never agreed to, stopped answering to judges who had no authority over your life, stopped participating in a system designed to drain you regardless of the verdict. You went quiet, not because you were hiding, but because you were done wasting energy on battles that didn't deserve your attention. And that silence, that refusal to engage, that commitment to your own peace over their chaos, that's when everything shifted. That's when they started losing grip, losing control, losing power, because the only power they ever had over you was the power you gave them by responding, by caring, by letting their words land. The moment you stopped catching their poison, they had nowhere to throw it but back at themselves. And throw it they did. Oh, they absolutely did. Every ounce of venom they prepared for you, every trap they set, every manipulation they crafted, it all backfired spectacularly. The lies they spread came back to haunt them. People started questioning their credibility, noticing patterns, seeing through the performance. The energy they spent attacking you was energy they didn't have for their own growth, their own healing, their own responsibilities. And slowly their lives reflected that neglect. Relationships built on shared hatred are fragile, and when you remove the common enemy, there's nothing left to bond over. So their alliances started crumbling. Careers built on stepping on others are unstable, and when karma starts balancing the scales, the foundation shakes, so their professional lives started suffering. Mental health built on projection and blame is a ticking time bomb. And when you can't escape your own thoughts, when you're forced to sit with yourself, the explosion is inevitable. So their peace disintegrated. And through all of it, through every disaster, every setback, every loss, they kept pointing at you, kept insisting you caused it, kept refusing to see the obvious truth staring them in the face. They did this to themselves. Here's what they'll never understand, what their minds are too clouded to grasp. You don't need to destroy people who are busy destroying themselves. You don't need revenge when karma has a better memory and a longer reach than you ever could. You don't need to fight dirty when you can win clean. Don't need to manipulate when you can simply elevate. Don't need to tear them down when you can just rise above. They expected you to play their game, to get in the mud, to fight fire with fire, to become the villain they accused you of being. But you didn't. You chose a different path, the harder path, the path of discipline and dignity and silent strength. You chose to heal instead of hurt, to build instead of destroy, to focus on your own growth instead of their downfall. And that choice, that refusal to become what they wanted you to be, that's what made you untouchable. That's what made you dangerous. Not because you attacked them, but because you didn't need to. Your success became the revenge. Your peace became the punishment. Your happiness became the evidence that they were wrong about you all along. But let's get specific about the collapse, because it's important to understand how thoroughly their world fell apart while you remained standing. Their finances started draining, unexpected expenses, bad investments, opportunities that seemed solid suddenly evaporating, money slipping through their fingers like water no matter how tightly they tried to hold on. Their health declined, stress manifesting physically, sleep escaping them, energy depleting, bodies breaking down under the weight of sustained negativity and unresolved guilt. Their relationships deteriorated beyond repair. Partners who once stood by them started seeing the truth. Friends started distancing themselves. Family members started asking uncomfortable questions. Isolation crept in where connection used to be. Their reputations took hits, slowly at first, then faster. Whispers spreading about their behavior. Their credibility questioned. Their character analyzed. The very thing they tried to do to you happening to them with actual evidence this time. Their mental clarity vanished, paranoia replacing logic, anxiety replacing confidence, confusion replacing certainty, peace becoming a concept they could no longer access. And all of this, every single piece of their unraveling, happened without you lifting a finger, without you saying a word, without you doing anything except existing and thriving and refusing to be broken by their hatred. The most beautiful part of this entire story is the simplicity of your role in it. You didn't orchestrate their downfall. You didn't need to. You just removed yourself from their toxic ecosystem and watched nature take its course. You stopped being their emotional punching bag, their scapegoat, their distraction from their own failures, and suddenly they had to face the consequences of their own choices without someone else to blame. You stopped feeding their drama, their chaos, their need for conflict, and suddenly the energy they were using against you had nowhere to go but inward. You stopped validating their false narratives, their lies, their delusions, and suddenly the stories they told started falling apart under the weight of inconsistency and absence of proof. You didn't fight them, you simply outgrew them, evolved past them, ascended beyond the level where their attacks could even reach you. And from that higher vantage point, you watched them struggle, watched them scramble, watched them desperately try to make sense of why everything was falling apart, completely unable to see that they were the